Mabuhay ang madayaw nga adlaw kanatong tanan. I am Lizel Jody Taghap and I am going to report about the transfer of learning. But before that, here's our learning objective. Explain how learning can be used in a new situation, identify the factors that affect transfer of learning, apply the principle of transfer of learning in real life situation. So, next is we have the transfer of learning happens when what you learn in one situation help you perform in other situation. So in a simple terms, it means using past knowledge or skills in a new context. So transfer of learning, it's not talks about wala siya nagastorya about transferring to another school or transferring our knowledge to other person. It talks about it is when you use what you already learned before to help you learn or do something new. So in a simple word or it means nagapasabot ni siya nga bringing a past knowledge or skills in new situation. So mura siya og metacognition no. Our past knowledge, we are using our past knowledge or our prior knowledge in our current knowledge in order for us to perform a better in other situation. So mo siya ingana. Next is we have the types of transfer. So we have types of transfer. The first one is we have the positive transfer. So happens when you learn in one situation, help you perform in other situation. So this means kani siya naghitabo ni siya when you learn before helps you learn something new right now. So kanang example ani niya kanang para mandalian na siya. Example ani niya is if you already know how to ride a bike, so it becomes easier for you to learn how to ride a motorcycle because pareha naman sila two wheels. So balancing, kung kabalo na kang balance sa bike, so of course mas dali na noon sa motor kay kabalo naman kamo balance. So ingana siya. Next, so negative transfer happens when you learn before makes learning something harder. So when we talk about negative transfer happen when something you learn before interfere with learning something new. So instead of helping you, your old knowledge is causing or confusing or mistaken. So example ani niya is kanang you have two keyboards. So if you use on typing on one keyboard, so kanang kung kani nga keyboard nga gina-typing nimo is kanang ginagamit gid nimo daan, so kanang makabalo na jud ka kung kanang kung asa ang makis kay kabalo ka imo man ginagamit daan. So next is kung mo use kag other keyboards, you might press the wrong key or because of your old habit, it's still controlling you. So kani siya is kanagay nakay keyboard tapos nakay old keyboard is mo to yung ginagamit. So kabalo na jud ka mapasikot-sikot sa imong keyboard sa asa dapat ang matuslokanan. But when you're using a new keyboard, kanang naay possibility nga maka-press ka og lahi because it is new kay nagasik gyapon ka sa imong kuan. Balik ka na ganing dili ka sanay mo na siya ang negative transfer. So next is we have here near transfer occurs when it's applied in a situation that is very similar. So kani siya ang near transfer is kay this happens when learning is very applied to very similar situation. Like for example, kani solving familiar maths in problem in class and in exam. So kani siya is klase na ninyo unya mao pa jig exam, so dali na lang kay siya para sa imuha, di ba? Mo na siya ang near. Dili siya duol ha, but similar situation siya. Mo na siya ang near transfer. Next is we have the far transfer. So far transfer occurs when learning is applied to very different situations. So far transfer happens when you use what you learn in one situation to solve a very different situation. So in a simple word or in a simple explanation, it is when you apply the same skills or idea even if kanagayang different situation or not similar situation siya. So example ani niya is you learn problem solving skills in math. Later on kanang you use those skills to plan how to save money or to solve real life problem. So even if math and real life situation is different, so ang math and ang real life situation is different, the skills there work. So mo na siya ang skill gyapon or ang skill or ang learning is nag-work gyapon siya. That is for transfer. Next is we have two condition and principle of transfer. We have condition and principle of transfer. These factors are the effect of how learners is applied in a new situation. So, we have here the similarity of learning situation. So, principle, the more similar the situation, the easier is to transfer learning. So, given students tasks similar to real life situation where they will use the skills. So, kani siya is it is more ano gud sa to ang situation, it is become more easier when nagian na to siya nga situation. So, kung kani nga task nga gihatag sa to nga teacher is similar to real life situation nga atong nagian, kanang we can use those skill situation para mas makahatag ta og best answer sa ato ang task or sa ato ang activity. Next is we have here our meaningfulness of learning. So principles, learning with understanding is better than memorization. Implication helps students connect new lesson to what they already know. So it is better for us to understand the lesson better than memorizing. Mas nindot yun no, nga masabtan na to ang atohang lesson kaysa memorize na to. Kay kung masabtan man gud na to is kanang ma-restock man gud siya sa tong utok, and also makakakuan ta na, makaingon ta nga ay kani siya is familiar ni siya sa kato akong na-learn dati, bali ma-connect na to siya to other lessons. So mo na siya kung i-memorize lang man gud na to siya, kay dili wala ta nagaano, wala na to ginadig deeper kung unsay meaning niya. Memorize lang to sa lesson, but kung moingon tag understanding is you understand the lesson. Lahi ra jud kayo ang memorize ug understanding. Next is we have here the length of learning time. So principle, spending more time learning increase the chance of transfer. So implication, teach fewer topics but greater depth for better understanding. So mas gwapo jud no kung kanang we spend more time to learning, kan it can increase kana ganing mas makasabot or mas maka-learn ta og something new. Next is we have the variety of learning experiences. So exposure of different examples and practices helps learners transfer learning. So provide varied activity and examples so different student can apply their new skills. So kani siya is kung mas daghan og kanang daghan og kanang maka-provide og different activity or different example, mas nindot siya no, kay mas maka-learn ta og maka-share ta sa to my experience, because we all know each one of us is have different experiences in life. Kung mag-stick man gud ta og one experiences lang, dili tanan maka-relate. So when we talks about variety of learning, so daghan nagkanda iyang examples or nagkanda iyang activities can provide in order for us to learn something new or in order for us to connect our prior knowledge to our current knowledge right now, para ma-use na to siya in order for us to answer the activity or to learn something new. So muna siya. Next is we have the context of learning experiences. Transfer happens when learners see that knowledge can be used in a different situation, relate lessons to other subject, and to real life experiences. So mo ni siya, na-explain ako ni siya kagaina. Kana ganing, learners can see kana ganing ang math pwede siya magamit sa real life situation. Dili lang siya magamit sa kanang sa school, but also it can solve real life situation or real life problem. So also labi na sa katong akong example nga essay, mag-example tong essay nga English, kanang naka-learn ta og kanang essay nga English, also pwede na to siya magamit sa other subject like for example Filipino nagapabuhat man gyapon og essay, although lahi og context but different different kanang nagkalahi-lahi nga kanang language, but pareha lang jud sila og structure, context mo na siya. Next is we have here focus on principle rather than the task. Principles are easier to transfer than isolated facts. Teach important concept and strategy instead of only specific task. So, instead nga maghatag kag specific nga task, kanang you need to teach important concept and strategy. Maghatag kag mga strategy nga kanang maka-catch up sa ilang attention nga kanang maka-share jud sila pod sa ilang own experiences nga kanang ma-relate pod nila sa ilang mga past experiences sa ilang current experiences. Muna siya. Next is we have to emphasize on metacognition. So reflect, improve the transfer of learning. So encourage students to reflect on what they learned and take responsibility of their learning. So kani siya is the reflection. Of course, at the end of the day or at the end of your lesson, you need to reflect kanang unsay mga na-learn nila sa imong lesson. Dili lang kay kanang pasagdan lang nimo sila nga sila lay magbuot. There is kanang mangutana jud ka kung sa man ilang mga natun-an, kay mas interactive ang class if mahatagan jud nato siya og kanang ganing own situation jud nila, kanang naagian jud nila, mas interaction siya, mas makatubag sila og mas maano sa ilaha, mas mabalik-balik sa ilang utok nga kani siya is kanang naga-connect siya sa ato ang prior knowledge. Ang kanideng kuan transfer of learning, kanida na siya atong mga prior knowledge nga kanang in order for us nga maka-learn ta og kanang atong mga prior knowledge is kanang become easier sa tuwa kay naka-learn man ta to dati. So easier na lang siya sa tuwa karon nga pagabuhaton og makabuhat na pud ta og mas better in this situation. So next is we have here, okay, so my report is done. So thank you so much for listening, and that's all. Have a nice day to everyone. Thank you so much.